It's Sunday morning, and well, I want to do a little bit of back testing. We're going to look here at the 15-minute opening range on the Nasdaq, looking back at March, every single 15-minute opening range. Let's take a look at it, and I want to see something very simple. How often do we hit the target 1 and the target 2? So the indicator that I'm using on the chart right now is the Lux Algo opening range, break, and targets indicator. We've talked a lot about this on the stream. These are my settings, the 9:30 to 9:45 15-minute opening range. Take a look here. All right, all we're going to do is just basically do the replay here. We start out at the beginning of the open. We've got our 15-minute range, the high, the low, right there at a pivot point. We got the VWAP there. We've also got the 21 EMA. Yes, 21 EMA on there. The VWAP. Show my VWAP settings. Nothing really going on with the VWAP settings there. Okay, so we got that. All right. Now, what I want to see is when we break the low or the high of the opening range, how often do we hit the first target being 50% of the opening range, and then the second target, third target, and vice versa. So let's go. Day one. This would be last Friday here. Looking for the opening range break. Right now, this is the 5-minute chart. We'll go to the 2-minute chart just to kind of see it a little bit better. There's the middle of the 15-minute range now, and we're below the VWAP. We're below the 21 EMA. We just broke the 15-minute range for the first time. So let's say I'm going to put a trade on here short. My stop basically needs to be the middle of the 15-minute range. So a little bit of a bigger stop there, but let's see how this plays out. And it should basically get right down there. So to hit target 2, we would get 100 points from the break of the range, and we were risking about 50 points to the middle of the range, back up there to the VWAP for our stop. So obviously we know last Friday, well, it would have worked out really beautifully. All right, so then we zoom out here. We go to our next opening range. This is the Thursday opening range. We've got our high, our current low. It's about 9:45. So we're about to find out. Right now, we're below the 21 EMA. We're below the VWAP there. Let's see what happens. We are holding. We're back through the middle of the 15-minute range. We talked about this before. A lot of times when the market moves back through the middle of that 15-minute range, it can lead to a nice little breakout to the upside. And let's see. All right, there's our first breakout there. Kind of the same idea. We'll go long for the breakout here. And our stop is below the middle of the 15-minute range. You know, maybe it could be a little higher depending on the setup, but let's just kind of keep it that way to keep this kind of going. We're actually negative R&R to target 1, but I think target 2 should be a little bit higher. So we are in the trade here. Market's holding there at the VWAP. We have not gotten below the middle of the 15-minute range. Just kind of going sideways. I remember this day, it just went sideways. It finally hit the target 1. So target 1 has now been hit. And then target 2, really close to getting hit. So, I mean, that would have been right to that high of that 199 area. Would have still been 120 points, risking 70 points there on that trade. So we can basically say target 1, 100% was hit there. Target 2 got really close to that setup there. Either way, still very profitable by risking the middle of the 15-minute range there and then playing that trade that way. All right, next day here. All right, we are starting out the day. We're below the VWAP. We're below the 21 EMA. I remember this day very, very vividly. We start to break through the 15-minute range. So now we take the short. And let's say, well, no. Take the short here, Patrick. We're taking a short. We're getting short for the break below here. We got our target down there. We are risking the middle of that 15-minute range. We're only risking about 30 points there because of that range a little bit smaller. We got our first target being 382s from the 414 area break. And let's see how this plays out. It looks, well, you can see target 2, target 3, and possibly target 4. So let's say we went to target 2. That would be 60 points, risking 30. Very profitable. But let's see if this went lower on this day. It did end up going all the way down there to target 6. So that would be 102 points, risking the 30 points there for that move down there to the target 6. That's basically 50% of the range, basically plotting that on that setup there. And here this might be a tricky one, actually. We got the opening range. We start to go. Boom, boom, boom. We got the VWAP there that we're holding up. We dipped below the opening range right here, but we're right there at the VWAP. So does that change our play here, or do we take the short since we're below? Let's say we'll take the short. Stick to the plan, right? We gotta stick to the plan here. Our stop, well, we are short lower. We're short down here, and our stop would be the middle of the range. So we'd risk 23 points basically, or maybe about 30 points here for a possible 30 to 60 point move to the downside. And, well, we would have gotten stopped out. All right, well, we would have gotten stopped out there. But what happens if we reverse this trade, and let's say we take it long now, since we got back up through the opening range? So we're risking 30 for a possible 60 point move to the downside. We already lost 30 basically, but would this put us green on the day if we would have switched right here? Risking off the bottom of that range again, kind of holding up there. And sorry, that was a short again there, but that would have worked. Stop at the bottom of the 15-minute range, off the middle there, and up there to target 2. Maybe this would have been a red day. Maybe it would have kind of worked out. We can see the power of kind of reversing once we get back through that middle of that range. Maybe something to think about with the VWAP there is support as well. If we're that close to the VWAP, something to think about. If we're holding there at the VWAP, maybe don't take that opening range break to the downside. If the VWAP was up here, if the VWAP was resistance, maybe we would have been all right to take that to the downside. So thinking about where the VWAP is in relation to the price action and all that. So again, the 15-minute range, we get it going here. All right, our set, we are now having to get long. So we're taking the long with our stop below the middle of the 15-minute range here. Looking for basically up through target 1, target 2, maybe a little higher. And let's see. Remember, we're above the VWAP here. We're above the 21 EMA. We hit the first target. That would be 30 points. Can we go for target 2? Target 2. Target 2 hit. Same plan. Stop loss at the 50% of the 15-minute range. And that gives us 69 points to the upside with a 36-point risk on that trade. We were very, very far above the VWAP there at that time as well. So think about that. Here's our next setup. We're starting here at 936. All right, our opening range has now been broken. We are taking the long here with our stop at the 50, the middle of the 15-minute range. We got about a 50-point stop there. So we really need to get about 100 points out of this trade here. Let's see if it's possible. All right, target 1 is 63 there. Almost got stopped, but we hit target 1. At this point, I think I would probably maybe take those partials there at target 1. We got pretty much up there. It would have been our our setup right there. Maybe something to think about in terms of entry, in terms of entries here, trying to get a better entry on a little bit of a pullback on the breakout. Sometimes you don't get those breakouts, but kind of got to look at the price action and see what's kind of going on there when we break out for that continuation move in that direction. Now, next day, this one looks fun. Same idea. Got the new opening range high. There's our VWAP. So now the VWAP's right there at the 900s. We got our opening range breakout. All right, so we just got to basically take this long. We're going to have a pretty big stop on this. Let's just say we take the long there with our stop below the middle of the range. Got about an 82-point stop, so pretty big stop there. I'm not sure if that's feasible, but let's see if it plays out. And it plays out. So to the upside there, you get about 160 points, risking 80 points off the middle of that 15-minute range. And go to the next one. Again, kind of just always seeing what's going on, support, resistance-wise, VWAP, pivot points, and all of that. And then we look here at this open. All right, we're like that now. We got our opening range. We got the VWAP there, right? VWAP 21 EMA. We've got this pivot point as well. In terms of the overnight high, we broke through the overnight high already. And let's see how this goes. All right, we're holding the 15-minute range. We're pushing back up, back above the VWAP there. Building a little bit of a bull flag. We broke the 15-minute range here. So we are now long with our stop. Basically the middle of that 15-minute range, looking for target 1, target 2 to the upside. And, well, looks like basically pulled back at that point, probably would have been stopped out. I don't think it really, does it go? Let's see. Ooh, it goes. Target 2 gets hit by 12 o'clock. So big move up, big move back down. Would I be holding through this whole pullback? Hard to say. But the 15-minute range, 50%, still holds. All right, the next day here, another one. Let's go. Market open. Got our opening range. Big opening range here. Ooh, very large opening range. About a 200-point opening range. Let's see how this plays. All right, we are breaking the opening range to the downside here now. So, well, we're short. So we're short here. Stop is to the middle of that 15-minute range here. This is also going to have to be played by, sizing correctly. If there's a 100-point range, maybe not being able to, put on much size there because, you got to be able to weather the drawdown. But either way, let's see how that plays. You could also, I guess, maybe play it on the high of these candles, like that lower high there. But just for the sake of this video, let's keep it the same as we go. So the middle of the 15-minute range, our stop here. And we're looking for either the 1 target to take our first profit, or we're looking for 2. This day, our daily bread. Just absolutely went sideways. Looks like all day there at the bottom of the range. At this point, I probably would have just been out of the trade and done for the day. I mean, we went from the low here down 88 points. I don't know. I don't know. Would you have taken profit? Would you have gotten stopped out? Who knows? But in general, we see that still got about 50 points easily out of that setup there. So here we go. Another opening range play. All right, opening range. All right, this is our 15-minute opening range, remember? Now we're looking for the breakout. Oh, we pulled back. Okay. Which is nice because we're already pulling back into that middle of the 15-minute range. So that's kind of like, hey, at least I didn't put a trade on there yet. So we're still just kind of chopping here. And then, well, we're kind of breaking through here now. So let's see, would this work? Let's say we're short. Stops in the middle of the 15-minute range again, about 60 points. Looking for that move down here. We got a pivot point. We got the first target. Let's see if she'll get hit. And, well, looks like another day of sideways. I probably would have been done, walked away at this point, maybe got stopped out. Let's say this was a red day, right? Maybe take this as a red day. I don't know. Like, I guess you got, like, do you stick to the plan when you're from 88s down there to the 850s? Do you put a stop? Do you move your break even? That's something to think about as well. Kind of maybe the next iteration of this video, figuring out, like, how that works in terms of timing and stops and stuff. The next range opening here. All right, we got an opening range break to the upside here. Looks like kind of a fake out already. But let's say we go long. Or let's say we go long right here. Stops to the middle of the 15-minute range. And we would have been stopped out, clearly. So stopped out on that trade there. All right. What happens as this continues? This is by 11 o'clock. Do we take another trade here? All right, let's see if we take another trade here. We would have risked about 70 points for a breakout, so we need to make about 140 points to get back in the green, or, well, to get up on the day. So we hit our first target. That would have put us back green on the day. And I'm not sure I would keep holding through here, but it's basically going sideways here, and we almost hit 2 by the end of day there. Another tricky one. I mean, obviously not every day is going to be perfect. We know that. I mean, hey, there's more to it, right? More to it. All right, now this opening range. This one looks pretty good. We got the VWAP right here. We got the 21 EMA. We've got the pivot point to the upside there. Pivot point, kind of all that stuff. The overnight move, the high. We got this overnight low down there at the 600s. Okay, let's see. All right, we've got our break to the downside here. Let's go back. Well, basically right here, we would have had that 15-minute range set. We got the break. And now we're short. Looking for a move down. Our stop is 50 points, the middle of that 15-minute range again. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Target 2. By 10 o'clock, boom. It was hit. So 50-point risk for 127 points to the downside. Is there more on this trade, or does it? Oh, looks like it reverses all the way back up. So target 2 hit, and then it reverses back up. If we had a runner, we probably got stopped out, but let's see how this plays now. And it looks like it probably just chops around the kind of rest of the day here. Back to the 2, the 3. Okay. Here we go. Another one. Here we go. All right, we're getting our break to the downside. We got the VWAP right there. Does that turn into support? Let's see. Stop. It's about 50, 60 points. Looking for a move to the downside here. Ooh, would we have gotten stopped right there? I guess we would have probably gotten stopped. It just barely got above us, so we would have gotten stopped there. 100%. Let's see if this goes in direction or ends up chopping around. Looks like it just chops around. Ends up going down there to the 2. Might be something to think about as well with the VWAP down there being kind of support. Trying to short into the VWAP, maybe not the best idea on that setup there. Just something to think about going forward here. And another opening range breakout. Same idea. We got the opening. And here we go. All right, we got the opening range breakout to the upside here. We are long. Our stops below the middle of that 15-minute range. And we need about 160 points to make this a good trade. 160 points to the upside there. Let's see if it happens. Nope. Would have gotten stopped out there. That was a news candle right there, 10 o'clock news. I went up from 759 to, no, would have been a stop. We'll see what happens after all that. All right, it does start to make a move to the downside here. So let's say we would have taken this short to the downside again. Would this have been another fail, or would this have paid the bills? Need about 160 points to the downside to break even on the day. And it went down there to the 1, kind of chopped back up. Would have been, depending on how you manage it. Depending on how you manage it here. Ooh, this looks juicy right here, obviously. Nice little trending day. On a trending day, this setup can be very, 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 very fruitful, obviously. So, there we go. Well, we haven't broke the range yet. We just broke it to the downside. So we would get short right here. Stop is at the middle of that range. I feel like you'd almost have to put it above the high of that candle right there just to play it safe. So this is, we're risking 70. We like to make 140 here to kind of get that 2-to-1. Let's see if it'll hit. And it's hit. Even more to the downside. So boom. Another big payday there on the trending setup opening. This looks like a little while, like you're definitely getting chopped up in here. What do we got? We got that, we had news, I guess, 8:30 news. So we see that that's, sometimes it's grabbing the opening range from there. I don't know why it did that, but whatever. We know what the range is here. So here's our actual 15-minute opening range. 942. We broke out there. So if we're long from here and we're risking the middle of the actual opening range, kind of like right here, maybe a little lower for some pushes up here. This, I don't know why the indicator's getting all weird. And we would have gotten stopped out. Still would have paid 372 up there to the 445s. I mean, that's the thing too, right? Like at a certain point, you got to kind of move your stops to break even, or kind of move those stops up and to lock in some profit. I mean, if I'm up 40, 50 points on a trade and then I get stopped out for a loss, I mean, that's kind of just, that's on me, right? That's probably just bad risk management there. All right, we're almost done here. This is another, I don't know why this one indicator is doing this again here. Let's see if I change this. Nope. I don't know why it does that. I think it was a time change. All right, we got the opening range break to the upside here. So we are long, pretty tight range. The middle of that opening range. That stop placement looks a little scary. Tighter range here. Probably not going to be good. So we got stopped there. And then it ends up going to the moon. So I think on a tighter range, on a tighter, well, that's about 100 points still, but on a tighter range, you might have to move that stop down to like the actual opening range. So let's say if we did that, let's say we risk 90 points. Remember, sizing is everything here as well, so you'd have to size appropriately. And if you'd have held for this move up, it's 184 points. That's justifying the stop, I guess. But again, now we're like changing the parameters based on kind of hindsight here. This is not looking good at all. I can already tell you this is going to be bad. All right, we got our 15-minute opening range. All right, no break yet. We broke to the downside, but I can already tell you this is going to squeeze back up. Looks like we had 10 o'clock 10 o'clock news, so maybe we wouldn't have entered this trade because of the 10 o'clock news there. Let's just think about it like that. Maybe a good rule, don't enter the 15-minute range with that news coming up at 10 o'clock. So now, let's say we enter it after the news comes out, and now we're long here with our stop below the 15-minute range with the push-up. Would have gotten stopped and would have made a move to the downside here. And just looks like finally makes the break to the downside. Just kind of chopping around there. So just chopping. No bueno, no bueno. Oof, this one looks no bueno either. All right, we're trying to break here. We broke to the downside here on this candle. Right there. We broke to the downside. So we got our short here. We're looking for move down. Stop is the middle of that range. Possibly 150 points to the downside there. And target 2 would have been hit. So that would be about 172 points. We're risking 80 points there. Not bad. And oof, this one looks real wild. 15-minute range setting up here. All right, we got our range set. We are now breaking to the downside, so we are short with our stop above or right there, I guess. Let's go for a little bit more out of this, see if it will work. We're risking 90 points for the possible 200 points to the downside here. And well, good Lord. I mean, that was right here would have been 173 points to the downside, but we probably wouldn't have covered right there, to be honest. I think it ends up dumping later on in the day here. That stop loss would still be valid, and then that would be down there 275. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, would I have held through that whole thing? Probably not. Probably not, but something that maybe I should be doing. All right, opening range. This is Friday, February 28th, so we'll do this will be our last day. And the opening range is set. We've got, looks like, we get the breakout through the upside here. Just no close. Would we have gotten stopped? I think that might have been a 10 o'clock news candle. So let's say we waited till after the 10 o'clock news candle to get the next breakout, which would have been right here on this candle. So we're long there with our stop below 93. And we're looking to see how mucho dinero can we go. And this is going to be like by 12 o'clock. And just would have stopped me out right there at 1250, but I probably would have been done trading before then. So Let's say our original entry, let's say target 1 would have put us to 89 points there. And then if we had held it for a little bit longer, target 2 would have put us up there. But first target would have been acquired. Second target, not acquired. So I think you probably run it like once the first target gets hit, you move the rest to break even and then let it ride. I don't know. But again, kind of what we're looking at here is, like I said, the 15-minute opening range. Very simple kind of idea here. We don't need to go crazy. I got it set to make sure you do this right here, UTC 4. You can see on Friday, I mean, just an absolute murder fest. So we had the 15-minute range set. We break to the downside. Let's just say, you know, for shits and giggles, let's just say you took the trade and you put your stop above the middle of that 15-minute range and you held this thing for, I don't know, the whole day. The whole day to the downside. What would it have looked like? It would have looked absolutely insane. Can I not even go that much? What's this thing doing? But about 480 points to the downside if you just put your stop there in the middle of the range and let it ride until close. I don't even know how much money that is, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And well, that would have, I don't know why, that would have been, yeah, 11 to 1 risk to reward, 12 to 1. The dream right there. This is what I'm trying to focus on, right? How can I capitalize on these big moves when they do happen? How can I be prepared for it? And I think just kind of going back and looking at all this type of stuff really gets me thinking, like, okay, you know, what should I be doing? Waiting for that 15-minute range to break, putting my stop in the middle of the 15-minute range, and then letting it ride. And to see how that goes. I think that's what my plan is next month, April. Just kind of doing that with my live funded account. Trading it kind of just very systematically every single day. Wait for the 15-minute range to break. Put a trade on. Put your stop above the 15-minute range high, or the middle of the range, the middle of the 15-minute range, and then looking for that target 1, target 2, target 3, and vice versa. So there it is. If you guys haven't hit the like button, subscribe button, see you guys live on YouTube. Just doing a little raw back testing here. 15-minute range looks pretty promising.